Yeah, he's still doing greater things. God wins. We're not going to let Satan distract us today. We're headed into the dog days of summer. Now, if you're in the Midwest or in other parts of the nation, that doesn't hit till about July 3rd or July 4th. But we've been having summer since about, early March? I don't know. It seems like forever. And we're tired. We're ready for some relief. We're like retreating to the AC. We're retreating to the swimming pools. And we just want to take a break and relax. And I say that because we're in the dog days of greater things. We're 1 year in. There's 12 months left. And so this is kind of the last, like, it's a shot in the arm. When we're tired, we're worn out, we're like, oh, greater things again. Are you serious? No, we need to not retreat and try to hide in the AC. We're going to keep pushing. We're going to finish well. We're going to continue to allow God to work in our lives and accomplish greater things. Now, because we're in the middle of greater things and because we finally have some things to show you, Big Reveal 2.0, you're going to see a lot of images today, and I'm going to talk fast because I have a lot to say today. So hang with me. Again, these images, they'll be available now throughout the end. But no, we're still in the process. These are not the final things. Like if you see something, and when we finish the thing, you're like, Mike, I didn't see that sign you had in that picture. It's okay. So things are still fluctuating. There may be some things we say, oh, no, we're not going to do that because we want to do this, or we can't do that because we don't have the money to pay for that, so we'll save that for later. So, but this is like the ideal. If we could just write the check and do it all right now, this is probably something similar to what we'll end up with. But again, we're still changing. We actually still have more reviews to make and different things to do. So remember that when you're seeing these images. But we're in the middle of this. We have something to show you. We're celebrating what God is doing. But we're also going to let the Spirit convict us a little bit today and challenge us a little bit today. One, to remain faithful to the commitment that we made a year ago, or maybe step up and do more, or maybe you've had some struggles in your life and things have changed, and so it's just kind of like a commitment today. Or maybe you're brand new and you've heard greater things, but you really didn't know what it was about. You're going to know now, and so maybe today's the day that you join us and join God in what He's doing here. There's two things on your seats. One is a commitment card. It may look familiar to you, although it is a little different. There's different wording on there. I'm going to explain that in a little bit. I kind of just went through the different stages that are on there anyway, but I'll explain that more in just a moment. And later on in the service, you'll be able to bring those down front. And again, it's just to help us know where we're at and where we're going so we can plan better and plan accordingly. Again, I'll talk more about that in just a little bit. The other thing is the white wristband, and those are yours. And we have extra, so if your family's not with you, you can take a couple extra ones and give them to your family. And obviously you see it says greater things, and John 1:50, our key verse for this campaign. And really what these are, I've been wearing mine for a little over a week now. When we got them in, I put one on, and it's a prayer reminder. And not only that, it's a reminder that God is doing greater things, and it's a reminder to be grateful for what He's doing in your life and be grateful for what He's doing here at PCC. And so put that on when you feel it kind of jiggle around on your wrist, or if I play with mine. I'll probably break it. I'll probably go through a few. But it's a reminder for me to say, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for doing greater things. Thank you for working in the lives of families at PCC. Thank you for working in my life. God, it's a reminder that we need to tell God our heart and share with Him our heart for the lost. Because of what He's doing, more people will come to know, follow, and share Jesus. It's a reminder. He wants that communication, that relationship with you, that dialogue with you, to know where your heart is, to know that you're serious about this. You know, it's not just something you're talking about, but you're following through with your actions. It's a reminder to have that communication with God. Listen, prayer is going to be the catalyst to see this through over the next 12 months. We must be praying about this because we can't just do it on our own. We know that. When we do it on our own, we mess things up. We need God's help to be able to see this through. So prayer is going to be the catalyst to see this through over the next 12 months. And actually, we have a couple special days over the next year where we're going to dedicate to prayer and keep praying for greater things. So wear that, pray for us, pray that God continues to do greater things. Okay, here we go. You're going to start to see some pictures. And again, I'm going to talk through these, and I'm going to talk fast. But the first thing I want to share with you is because as we started going through this process and we started talking about the design of what the rooms are going to look like, we decided, hey, it might be a good idea to rebrand, come up with a new logo, come up with new colors, and incorporate that into the design. And actually, we hired an interior designer, a graphic designer, that actually puts those two things together. And so it was a real natural fit. And so we actually have a new logo now. And you'll begin to see this as we transition from our old logo and our old colors into the new logo and new colors. So here is the official church logo that you'll begin to see probably even this week on our website and next week. Now, it's a little difficult to see because of the resolution of the projector. It's not a black background. It's actually a dark navy blue. And there's a brighter blue there in Christian Church, and then white. So those are our three main colors. This is going to be our main logo, but that's not all. We actually get quite a few alternative logos that we can use on print media, on t-shirts, on digital media. Here's some of that. Our No Follow Share Jesus. You'll be able to see that on the designs actually in a little bit. Here's some fun things that we'll throw in there, here and there. And then we also redesigned the PCC Kids logo and PCC Students. And so here's what those are going to look like. Real fun, real bright. And there you can see our three main colors and then the supporting colors. And so all this stuff's going to be incorporated into the design. And you'll see how it works and how it fits here when we start looking at some of these designs. Now, we're going to be able to do a lot with these different logos. And I'm excited about them. It's fun. It was a really fun process to go through with the staff and with the designers. So let's get to the design. What's it going to look like? Now, again, this is subject to change, but this is the general idea of the direction we are going. And also, as you look at these images, remember, they're images. So they're not to scale, so the room's going to look a little bit smaller than what it actually is. You'll see when we get going. But this is ideally what we're shooting for. And again, it all is going to have to fit in with the overall plan and everything. So before we get to that, I want to show you the floor plan. You've seen a picture similar to this, but this is a new image of the floor plan. And so let me get my trusty little laser pointer. So this is where we're at right now. I'm right here. You guys are right here in the seats. This is the fellowship hall. This is going to be a new entrance, okay? And so the main entrance will come into here. And actually, we're changing the name of this. And you'll see in a minute what it's going to look like. A couple new doors around here, a new closet. And then this corridor. This is going to bump through our current structure. This line right here is the current building. So all this down here is new construction. So there's going to be a corridor going to the children check-in area, children's lobby. This will be the main kids area with a special needs class and pre-K kindergarten, new nursery, and new restrooms. And so these aren't there right now. Those will be built in as the construction goes. And so families will come in here. They'll come through this corridor, check in, drop their kids off. Then they have to go back through here because this is actually, we're changing the name to the hub. This is the hub. This is where all the action is going to be. You go to worship, you go to kids, you stop by the kitchen, which is going to be renamed to get your coffee and cookies, go to the youth room, go to the restrooms, go to the lobby, other parts of the church. So this is going to be the main hub. This corridor is these doors right here. It goes to the outside. That's going to be an emergency exit. So it's only going to be a one-way street. You won't be able to come through here. You'll have to go back out here to the hub. So that's kind of the floor plan. I know those images aren't fun, but the next images are fun. So here's kind of a 3D image of what the building will look like from the outside. Go to 3D image. So again, new entrance. And then this here's all the new construction. So there actually will be a family entrance, a PCC Kids entrance here. But again, you'll have to go back out to the hub. Families will probably use both entrances. But so that's kind of what it's going to look like. So here is a street level view right in front of the church going in. So right now, that's the front of our church with the new construction, new entrance. You can see the PCC Kid entrance. This is all new. And so this is what it's going to look like going in. So next, we're going to walk through those doors. So walk with me. Here we go. Going through. There's the fellowship hall. Now, again, it's not to scale. It looks a lot smaller. Right here's the kitchen. We're going to call it the cafe. Again, that's where you're going to get your cookies. I know some of you come here just for the cookies. That's where you go. On this side, that's the current lobby over here, restrooms. Man, I'm shaking like crazy. I need lunch. That's what it's telling me. My sugar's down. So we have some portable stations of information, sitting areas, the cafe. This is the new hallway to the PC Kids area, the youth room, which is currently the youth room, still going to be the youth room, and then doors into the worship center that will be on that back wall there. And so now, imagine you're standing in the center of that room, and you're looking at the wall. So here's what that perspective looks like. So looking at the worship center, the new doors into that, what that could look like. This is the doors out to the welcome center, those doors right there. There'll be new doors to the restrooms and then a couple stations. And then go to the next. And then there you see the cafe, the new hallway to the PCC Kids area. And then that one's looking like if you're going to go out the doors, out the front of the church. You can see we have a specific place for our mission partners. Highlight our mission partners so you can get information about that. And so that's going to be the fellowship hall. Now, next, let me see, where are we going here? I know I'm talking fast. Let's go to the exterior. Yeah, exterior, the kids' entrance. So now, again, families can use this entrance before and after service. Those doors will be locked during the service, just like they are in the back right now. But you'll walk through those doors into the lobby. So imagine, let's walk through these doors. This is going to be what we walk into. The PCC Kids family area, the lobby. So this is where check-in's going to happen. This is where parents will drop their kids off. Again, so this right here is the hallway coming out of the fellowship hall, the hub. So you'll come, there's a ramp because of elevation issues, check-in areas. This is the nursery. It's not going to be glass, just so you know. This is just the image. This down here is to the kids area. These doors right here are actually this hallway that's exit only. Again, now put yourself there. Here's what the perspective looks like if you're standing in the room. So again, you can see there's self-check-in areas similar to what we got, a little different. This is for the first-time families to check in their kids. A little bit of chairs to lounge in and that sort of thing. Now, before you go to the next picture, I want to tell you, you need to use your imaginations with me, okay? Because we're missing an image in the process of all this. Now, the big room where the kids are going to be. Actually, go back to the floor plan. That'll help maybe get your imaginations going. This room right here. It's just going to be a big open room. There's not going to be a whole lot of furnishings. We want that to be very versatile Kids will do their worship in there. They'll play games in there. They'll have small groups, like break out in different sections of the room. And so there's actually not going to be a whole lot. It'll be nice. It'll be new, but there's not going to be a whole lot of thrills and extra things in there. And so that's the image we're missing. Now, if you go back to, like, if you're standing right in the center of that room, say you're standing here, this is the new restrooms I showed you, the 2 classrooms. And so that's the image. This is like if you just turn the corner, another wall. The ramp, actually this right here is a ramp. That's the ramp going up to this area. So it's going to be nice. It's going to be decorated, but just not a whole lot of furnishings. And the next image, I think, is kind of just a stage setup where they can do their teaching and do their worship, do that sort of things. And so you kind of have to put yourself there and see it. We're going to request that picture so we can imagine it a lot easier. I'm very visual oriented, and so that'll be helpful. And so that's going to be the big room. Now, the classrooms, they'll be decorated too. There's just not a whole lot of design elements in there. The nursery will be nice and decorated. Actually, I'm hoping that we can do some volunteer equity and do some of the painting and some of the decorating ourselves in those rooms. And but it's going to be very nice, very fun, and very welcoming. Here's the thing. When families come to church here, they're welcome already. You know, that's one cool thing about this church that I love, is that as soon as people come here, they said, I felt at home. Everyone's so nice and friendly. Now, the key is to connect with them, build a relationship with them so they stick. But this is just going to create an atmosphere that is warm and welcoming, and people are going to walk in and just feel a presence of the Spirit. Even before they walk in the doors, I want them to feel that the Spirit is here, and God is moving. God is working. And so this is just going to help us. The other thing it's going to help us do is just set us up for long-term success. You know, this church, they moved into this building in 2003, so it's 22 years old. And this church is a nice church. It's a nice facility. I feel very blessed of what is here. But this is going to set it up for the next 25, 30 years and just help project us into current times and even into the future. Now, there's a few people that I want to say thanks to that has helped make this possible. Unseen Building Strategies. These are the people who are working with us. They're doing great work. They've been really helpful to get us to this point and see us even through to the next step. Unseen Building Strategies is helping us with this whole process, from architects to design to even permitting. Design Services Incorporated is the architects and engineers that are working on it, and The Honest Pixel is the designer who's been working with us on the logo, branding, and the design elements. And so, again, they're working hard, pushing us forward. And right now, the engineers are working on the official plans to submit to the county for approval, for permitting. And then once we get to that point, it's game on. Let's go. And so that's actually a prayer request. As you wear your bracelet, pray for the county. Pray that they will be swift as gazelles on the open plain, and that they don't just lose our stuff on a stack of papers on their desk, but just pray that they move quickly. Sometimes we've heard horror stories. Sometimes it gets hung up, but God can intervene, even in the office of Osceola County permitting. And so pray that happens sooner rather than later. Once the engineers get to a certain point, they're going to start collecting bids on getting subcontractors and bids and actually get some firm numbers. And so that's really the key element in all of this. How much is this going to cost? And are we going to be able to do it? And so there are things we definitely will be able to do. And so that's why the next 12 months are so important, that we finish strong. Now, I fully trust God is going to provide for everything we need. It might look a little different. It might not be exactly what we want, but it's going to fill our need for now and set us up for long-term success. I fully trust God is going to do that. Here's the amazing part of all this. And that stuff's exciting. It's been so exciting the past few weeks as this stuff has been able to be developed and everything. It's been fun in the office as we talk about these things and an exciting time. But here's what I also get excited about. That God could use someone like me to partner with him to do something so great here at PCC. That God could use someone like you and bring us all together for this moment in 2025. Bring us all together and use his Spirit in our lives. Bring us all together to accomplish something so great. How amazing is that? That is so powerful. We get to be a part of what God is doing. And it will bless us. It'll be a huge blessing to be able to do this. And families will be blessed. More kids will come to know Jesus. More people will come to know Jesus. But the other thing is, like, people we don't even know yet will be blessed because of this. I mean, what we're doing isn't just for us right here, right now. We're making a difference at Point Siena Christian Church and in our community that will last generations. I mean, that is so cool. Central Florida is so transient. People come and go. I know. I mean, I see it. I make friends with somebody and then they move. You experience that too. Some of you probably are new to the church and new to the area, and you won't be here next year. And that makes me sad. I want everybody to stay. I want everybody to, but I get it. I mean, the traffic is frustrating. The expenses are frustrating. You know, there's all kinds of things that come in, but it's so transient. And so imagine hundreds of people, thousands of people, hundreds, thousands of people will be affected by the ministry of Point Siena Christian Church throughout the years to come, generations to come. Imagine how many people are going to come through these doors over the next 50 years. I mean, we can't even account that. We don't even know the impact that we are making for Point Siena Christian Church by doing what we're doing. We don't even understand. I imagine when I'm in eternity and I'm sitting around the table, we're going to be in eternity. Some of us will be in eternity. Not that you won't make it. Some of you will still be alive. You're young. So say in 40 years, you'll still be here making a difference. I'll be in heaven with some of you. We're going to be sitting around a table eating cheeseburgers, drinking Coke Zero, talking about the good old days in 2025. Remember what God did at Point Siena Christian Church? We're going to be telling stories of lives that have been changed. And someone's going to walk by and they're going to hear Point Siena. And I'm like, Point Siena? In Central Florida? And I'm like, yeah, there's an awesome church there. It's like, I know because it changed my life. See, we don't even know the people who are going to come through the doors and find Jesus here 50 years from now. Well, we don't know the impact we're making. But God is allowing us to partner with him right now to change the kingdom, generations to come. I mean, that's exciting to me. It's going to be cool to hear all those stories. Again, we don't even know. So we get today to celebrate what God is doing, but also be challenged to be a part of it, be challenged to stay faithful to our commitments, and maybe even be challenged to do more or join in for the very first time. I mean, if that's not greater things, I don't know what is. Philippians 4:13. I say those numbers, and probably some of you know exactly what verse that is. You have it memorized. It's one of the most popular verses in all the Bible. Philippians 4:13. It's also, I think, one of the most out of context verse in the Bible. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. You guys know that verse. Again, a lot of times that's used out of context. Sometimes it's purposely used out of context to make a joke. I mean, I've done that before. I've seen a comedian do that before. Again, Super popular verse, sometimes taken out of context, sometimes for a joke. Like maybe you decide to keep your grandkids overnight, and you think, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Or you have to parallel park. You say, well, I can do all things. They don't teach you how to parallel park these days in driver's ed. Did you know that? It's crazy, right? Maybe you decide that you're going to rearrange the furniture all by yourself while your husband's at work, and you have to move that couch. I can do all things through Christ. You decide to do the 1-pound cheeseburger challenge. Try to get a free cheeseburger. I can do all things through Christ. Actually, I don't think I need Christ to do that, but I can do all things. Maybe you're running sound for the very first time at church, and the live stream isn't working. And you're back, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Now, do you know the actual context of this verse? Paul sitting in jail, writing a letter to the church in Philippi, the Philippians. He's sitting in a jail cell, chained to the wall. And this verse pops up. Do you know what's going on around there? He's talking about being content. He's actually praising the Christians in Philippi for being so generous and sending him money and helping him and providing for his needs. And he actually says, you know, I've learned to be content whether I don't have anything or whether I have plenty. And then this verse pops up. And so it's not about doing something that is supernatural or something that you can't normally do on your own, and Christ is going to come in and save the day. It's not about that. It's about an attitude of being content no matter where you're at in life. And then Paul goes on to praise them for their generosity. Let's look at Philippians 4, verse 14 through 20. Yet it was good of you to share in my troubles. Moreover, as you Philippians know, in the early days of your acquaintance with the gospel, when I set out from Macedonia, not one church shared with me in the matter of giving and receiving, except you only. For even when I was in Thessalonica, you sent me aid more than once when I was in need. Not that I desire your gifts. What I desire is that more be credited to your account. I have received full payment and have more than enough. I am amply supplied now that I have received from Epaphroditus the gifts you sent. They are a fragrant offering, an acceptable sacrifice, pleasing to God. And my God will meet all your needs according to his riches, of his glory in Christ Jesus. To our God and Father be glory forever and ever. Amen. I want to point out one verse to you. I don't know if you caught it in there. Paul says, it's not that I desire your gifts, in verse 17. What I desire is that more be credited to your account. What does that mean? Think about it. Paul is saying because they gave to the work of God, because they gave to support Paul in his time of suffering, that they gave to give him aid to survive, that they are being credited in an account that they had no idea about, an account in heaven. Jesus said in the Sermon on the Mount, don't store up treasures for yourself on earth where moths and rust destroy and thieves break in and steal, but store up treasures for yourself in heaven where moths and rust do not destroy and thieves do not break in and steal. And so somehow when we give to the work of God, when we give to what God is doing, we're being credited in an account in heaven. How amazing is that? You know, our money here on earth is not guaranteed. It can disappear just as quick as it comes. Some of you know that if you've been looking at your 401ks and your retirement. It can disappear just as quick as it gains. But when we give, we are being credited in an account in heaven, and we are going to receive blessings. Sometimes that blessing will happen here on earth. Sometimes that blessing will happen later. Sometimes it will happen in spiritual ways and not physical ways. Now, God works in all kinds of ways. You know, some preachers tell you that if the more you give, that God will give you the desires of your heart. All your dreams will come true. That's not necessarily the case. Sometimes God does that. I've been blessed by God that way, but that's not a norm. Jesus said It's more blessed to give to receive. He's quoted in Acts by saying that. And it's good to receive. It's so good to receive. I love to receive things. My birthday's next month, July 7th. It's good to receive. I'm kidding. You don't have to get me anything, unless you absolutely want to. It's good to receive. But Jesus says it's more blessed to give. Why is that? It's because of the joy you get in doing that. My mom, even when she had nothing, she wanted to buy my meal when we'd go out to eat. I'm like, no, Mom, I got it. She's like, don't steal my blessing. Okay, Mom. Because when you give, you're blessed. I heard this statement not long ago, and it's been stuck in my head ever since. Of course, all this stuff has been on my mind and my prayers and just thinking. The preacher said, giving to God is never a bad investment. That's interesting. When you give to greater things, you're not just helping cover the expenses. You're not just helping the church not go into extreme debt. You're definitely helping us do that. But you're being credited in an account in heaven. And God is going to bless you for it. Here's the thing, though. Again, you may not see that blessing here and now. It may come later. But when you give to God, when you give to the church, give to missions, help kids go to camp by providing scholarships, we are credited in heaven for doing that. And we will receive a blessing at just the right time when God bestows it upon us. Giving to God is never a bad investment. So where do we go from here? Well, here's the challenge part. We have these commitment cards. I know some of you filled them out.